time for the best Steelers insight from our Hall of Famer and Steelers insider, Ed Bouchette.
Hurry up! Let's go!
Ed Bouchette is heard exclusively on Sports Radio 93.7 The Fan.
It is indeed time for our Steelers insider, Ed Bouchette. Ed, how are you today?
I'm just fine, Joe. Thank you.
You're welcome. I just wanted to check in on your well-being here as I buy time and the internet's down. Ron, can you fix the internet in here? So I can look up some, because I had some background here that I wanted to ask you about, but I'll just have to I'll have to ad lib here. Yes.
Ed, what do you think of the quarterback shuffles here? The trade of Russell Wilson, now he comes into the AFC, one more great quarterback, and obviously Aaron Rodgers staying in Green Bay.
Yeah, well, that great quarterback hasn't done a whole lot for Seattle lately, so I'm not that impressed. We'll see what he does in Denver. I certainly wouldn't have paid that price for him. They've drafted quarterback number one. Now they just gave him away. I guess you keep doing it until you find one. I don't know, but the money that Green Bay's paying the other guys too much. I mean, Green Bay's going to be in cap hell now with franchising the wide receiver. I would never franchise a wide receiver. They're a dime a dozen, and now they're going to pay them way too much when they could probably use that money somewhere else. How's that?
We could argue about things, Ed, but I want to move on here to Aaron Rodgers. Based on your social media activity from last night, which I can't find, listen, we had Florio on here Monday. I don't know what to believe here. He said flat out that Kevin Colbert and Mike Tomlin had a deal in place for Aaron Rodgers. It seems that you believe that was just a complete fabrication. Am I correct?
I'm not saying Mike is fabricating, and I'm saying somebody's giving him bad information, because I don't believe that for a second. Not for a second.
Well, that might be even worse, to have somebody completely fabricate a ridiculous notion to you and have you not vet it properly and then report it as if it's happening. I don't know which is worse.
I'm not going to get into reporters' ethics or anything else, but I'm just saying I find it hard to believe. I'm not going to sit here and flat out say it wasn't true. I'm saying I find it hard to believe, and I think it's an agent's job to get his client more money, and if he needs to fabricate stories that other teams are interested, he'll do it.
Ed, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I don't believe it either. But then you, on the other side of it, you hear, well, that's not the Steelers' way to do that. Is the Steelers' way still working? And I thought Florio's point about how it is a stagnating franchise right now, maybe you need to do something to energize it. And I'm not suggesting I would have given up that either. But I do agree that, to me, it's a stagnating franchise.
Why is it stagnating? They made the playoffs. You want stagnating. Look at the Browns. They're still trying to get over the hump. I can give you 15 other franchises that are stagnating, if you want to use that word, Ron. The Steelers aren't one of them. Because they don't have a quarterback right now.
No, Ed, they haven't won a playoff game in, 5 years?
Okay.
They've won 3 since 12.
If that's what we're going to judge a team by, winning one playoff game, okay, you're right.
I'm not saying that the Browns aren't stagnating either, but don't get me wrong. But, we supposedly they like to look at themselves as Super Bowl or bust. They haven't even come close to that.
Go out. You want them to give the farm away, not only the farm, but the money that goes with it. What's he making, $50 million, or what's the latest figure, $46 million?
Something like that. No, I'm not advocating they do that. This is a different story, though. Now you got me going, though.
Ron is actually on your side.
I am on your side. I would not have made that deal, and I don't believe that they offered it. But to think that they're not a stagnating franchise, they like to be holier than thou. We're Super Bowl or bust every year, and if we don't make it, it's a disappointing year. Well, they've had a bunch of disappointing years in the last 12. That's all I'm saying.
If you want to believe that they believe they're Super Bowl contenders every year, Ron, go ahead. I don't.
So where
do they?
They say things, Ron, for the fans. It doesn't mean they believe it.
All right. Well, let's go back to Denver for a moment because my fear is that you've alienated your friend Horst, who's a big Broncos fan and says they're going to win at least 2 Super Bowls with Russell Wilson. You and Ron appear to be on the same page here. What exactly is the issue with Russell Wilson, who 2 years ago had 40 touchdowns and 13 interceptions? He runs all over the place. He's been to 2 Super Bowls. He has one of the highest passer ratings ever. He's never hurt. And he's, let's see here, 33 at the moment. And I did mention he's never hurt. What are you going to do if you're Denver, Ed? Just sit around and watch Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes beat you for the next 10 years?
Well, what number draft pick did they have?
9, number 9.
Maybe they should have drafted the top quarterback in the draft. I don't know.
Why do that when you can have? Go ahead.
We're all sitting here saying that, Malik Willis or Kenny Pickett, if he falls to the Steelers, well, they didn't have to wait for anybody to fall. They probably could have grabbed one, although Carolina's probably going to get the first one.
So what would you do if you were Elway? I mean, this is tried and true for them. I don't remember a bunch of people saying.
If I was Elway, you know what I'd do if I was Elway? I would have taken my money a long time ago and gone into the hills. I wouldn't be still fooling around with pro football, that's for sure.
Well, I think he actually is doing that, Ed. He's more of a figurehead now than actually running the franchise.
I mean, this worked for them before. A lot of people said, what are you doing? Peyton Manning has a neck injury.
Yeah. They would have won without Peyton Manning. He didn't win that Super Bowl.
No, but he did go there and throw for 55 touchdowns and get them to a Super Bowl against Seattle.
In one season?
Yes.
I don't remember that.
Yes, he threw
55 touchdown passes.
Yes, he threw 55, and then he threw 39 and 38. I mean, I don't know, Ed. I was saying this to Ron earlier. I think him and I are on a different page too. I move mountains to get a franchise quarterback because I feel like in this league, with rare exceptions, you're nowhere if you don't have one, especially now.
So if you move the mountains, Joe, and we've been talking about this since last season. If you move mountains, what do you have left to surround that quarterback with?
Good question.
Good
question. And I think my opinion is that a franchise quarterback makes up for an awful lot. I saw Ben win a Super Bowl here with Justin Hartwig, Chris Kimoyatu, and Darnell Stapleton in front of him. I just saw Joe Burrow go to a Super Bowl with one of the worst offensive lines in the league.
I'm not moving off that, Joe. I just don't think you pay that much for a 33-year-old quarterback, a 39-year-old quarterback. I'm sorry. And here's another thing. Look at the quarter. Since I've been covering the Steelers, which I was started to beat in '85, right around when Ron was on it, started. They got when they needed quarterbacks. Here's who they got: David Woodley, Todd Blackledge, Kent Graham, Mike Tomczak, Tommy Maddox, and I think I'm missing someone. Oh,
there's 32 of them between Ben and Bradshaw that actually took a snap and threw a pass for them.
But I'm just saying, Ron, when they needed quarterbacks, those are the veterans they went out and got. They didn't pay a lot of money. They paid a third-round pick for Woodley. The other guys they paid nothing for because they picked them off the street. Kent Graham, my God, was cut by the Giants, a big water buffalo. They brought him in to start.
Water buffalo. Well, doesn't that underscore the point that you move mountains to get a real quarterback in here and then you worry about the potholes?
No, because you're not going to go to the Super Bowl every year, Joe. You have down cycles, and they can have some. I mean, there's still 6 Lombardi trophies in there. They must know what they're
Well, I'm talking about the Broncos at the moment.
See, I would disagree with that, Ed, that they must know what they're doing because things change. Those 6 Super Bowls are ancient history.
Well, 10 years ago, I bet there's a lot of teams out there that haven't won a Super Bowl in the last 10 years, Ron.
No, I agree. I'm not saying that they're the worst one out of 32, and it's actually been 11 years, or I guess 11 years or 12 years, but
10 or 11 since they were there.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm not saying they're the worst of the bunch, but man, it seems like the standard has really dropped around here.
I disagree with you. I don't think it has. I think they try every year. They somehow made the playoffs last year. Have been right up to the end, competing for the playoffs every year. There are not a lot of teams that do that. And how many Super Bowls did Aaron Rodgers win, and when's the last time he won?
He won one in 2010 when he beat the Steelers and has not been back. Now, he's been to a number of AFC championship or NFC championship games.
The Steelers were at the
And they haven't won a playoff game in 5 years, and they've given up 40 points or more in the last 4 of them that they've played. So, I mean, if you tell me that Green Bay has not done anything because they didn't get to a Super Bowl, how many AFC championship games did they win? Get to.
They didn't.
No, they did get to AFC championship
Well,
games.
the Steelers went to an AFC championship game 5 years ago against the Winds.
So is it the good news or the bad news that they're in it every year without a real chance to win it most years? And for the foreseeable future, you think they're going to be worse next year? Because I think the worst place
5 years ago until Le'Veon Bell got hurt.
Okay, one time. They've won 3 playoff games in 11 years, Ed. You think they're going to be bad next year? All I'm saying is when you talk about Steelers history, Steelers lore, all the great players they had, they got most of those players because they were crappy, not because they were 8-8. And that's what I see him as now, and I think that's what Ron means. I don't want to put words in his mouth. They're right now in the worst place you want to be in professional sports, which is right in the middle with kind of sort of a chance, but not really.
So you want them to move mountains and get rid of more draft picks in order to bring Russell Wilson?
Or get real bad for a year, yeah. Because that was the Steeler way that everybody lauded so much. The Steeler way was to be the worst team in the league and get Terry Bradshaw and Franco Harris and Jack Hambert. Jack Hambert.
Jack Lamb.
60 years now, Joe.
Oh, you did? You talked about the Steelers' 6 Super Bowls.
4 of them were from the 70s.
They got those Super Bowls because they stunk.
2 of them are in this century.
And the one year they stunk, they got Ben. The one year they stunk.
Only one other team has won more than 2 Super Bowls in this century. It's the Patriots.
That's right. And the 1 year and the 2 years they got there this century is because they stunk 1 year and got Ben. So
maybe they need to do that again, Joe.
That's what I'm saying. So why laud them for being 9-7?
What? What about 9-7?
Why are we lauding them for having a chance to get to the playoffs every year and being in the middle of the pack?
Well, you got to try and win unless Art Rooney's going to pay $100,000 a game for them to tank to the coach.
Well, maybe they'll do it on their own.
Win. You don't think the coach wants to win every year?
Yeah, so go get a quarterback if that's the case. Other than that, then you tell them, hey,
give up. Then you're giving up your future.
What future?
And they're not going to win a Super Bowl by getting a quarterback this year. They're just not.
I agree with that.
You guys
I agree with that totally.
How about next year?
They made the playoffs and they didn't win a game. They didn't win a playoff game. Oh my God, Russell Wilson. Now they're stuck. They don't have any money left. They don't have any draft picks. Oh my God, what are they going to do?
I don't know that you'd reach that point of decay here. And by the way, again,
draft picks did Denver give up to get them?
Denver still has 3 picks. They still have 3 picks in the top 100. They gave up 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and 2 above-average players, and now they have a franchise quarterback.
The Steelers, if they gave up that much, they wouldn't have that.
They wouldn't have what?
That many picks in the top 100.
Well, make do with your lower round picks. The team that just won the Super Bowl literally never picks in the first round.
Yep, there's just that next Antonio Brown just waiting for them to pick him in the 6th round, Joe.
The team that just won the Super Bowl literally never picks in the first round.
The Rams. Let's see if they can keep it going.
Yeah, plus they had it's been going now for 5 years.
They can keep it going.
I'd rather take that chance than be 9-7-1 myself. And they had the guts to go out and get a quarterback and give up 2 first-round picks too.
If you can just dial that stuff up, that's great.
Well, you got to be willing to take the chance. There's no guarantee, but
quarterback, put him in a Super Bowl.
I'd rather take that chance myself.
Ed, looking back at history here, we talk about how the Steelers have never done stuff, yet they changed. They traded up for Devin Bush, and they traded a number 1 pick for Minka. What's the last time they did that was 65, I believe. As you look back on it, was that a mistake to bring Minka in here for a number 1 pick when the deal was made after Ben was down and out for the season?
No, I don't think so, Ron, because you basically were getting a first-round pick and a good player that who already put in a season without giving them the bonus money, and you had a great need at free safety, and he still had
because Sean Davis got hurt too that same game Ben did.
He still had 3 years, and you believe me, Minka would have been better than Sean Davis at safety too.
I don't know that they make that trade though if Sean Davis doesn't get hurt.
You still have 3 years under contract with him and an option year, which they picked up. So, did they go to a Super Bowl with him? No. So maybe they shouldn't have signed him because they didn't get him to the Super Bowl.
He hasn't won a playoff game with them, Ed, let alone the Super Bowl.
No, they haven't won a playoff game with him. You know what? There's another guy they haven't won a playoff game with, T.J. Watt. They shouldn't have drafted him either. And they should trade Cam Hayward because they haven't been to a Super Bowl with him either.
Again, Ed, you're missing the point. No one's saying Super Bowl. They haven't won a playoff game.
Well, then that stands the same. Then they haven't won a playoff game with those guys. Get rid of them. What was the old Pirate general manager said? We didn't win with you. We could not win without.
That was Branch Rickey.
We're getting pretty close to that point here.
Branch Rickey about Ralph Kiner.
You want to
finish last with you? We can finish last without you.
You want to wait another year, draft a quarterback then you'll pretty much have wasted Cam Hayward's whole career and T.J. Watt.
Hey, I've heard some of that argument, Ed, that, you got Mason Rudolph at your quarterback here. You have no real chance of winning anything with all the other quarterbacks in the AFC. Why not trade T.J. Watt right now and totally rebuild and get a lot back, and maybe in a year or two you can get back to where you want to go? They're going to have T.J. Watt this year, and I'm not advocating trading him, but they're going to have him this year, and they might go 9-8, 8-9, something like that. And is that good enough? I guess the standards have fallen around here. They'll be in it until the very end, though, won't they?
Ron, I'm glad you're not. Well, I don't really care. There's a lot of people probably glad you're not their general manager. That's all I can say. You play to compete every year. You do your best you can. It doesn't mean your philosophy is different from what you guys want. They've been doing it a lot longer and a lot better than I think you guys could as their general managers and owners. So I have no complaint with what they've been doing. Trying to win.
Your point about doing it better than me is absolutely legit, and I'm not arguing otherwise. But they haven't done it very damn well for the past decade. That's all I'm saying.
In a town where the Pittsburgh Pirates reside.
Oh, so now you're going to compare them to the Pirates, Ed? Is that what you're going to do?
That's where we are with the Steelers. They're also not the Jaguars, Ron.
They're better than the Pirates,
or the Texans. Wait, the Texans have won.
I can't believe you brought up the Pirates here. I really can't.
And who else in the AFC North has won a Super Bowl since the Steelers last won one?
Baltimore.
There's one.
Well, the other two are. Cincinnati went to one since then.
Okay, but they didn't win. Did they put a trophy in their case and say, we got second place? You guys are talking about not winning playoff games. They won a division. That counts for something, too. They won it a year ago.
And then the other part of this. That
it does? What does that count for? They lost to the team that finished second to them and got blown out on their home field. I'd rather have that than the division.
That's fine. And guess what? The Bengals lost to the Super Bowls. Who cares? Right?
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny though. The Steelers go 13-3. They lose to Jacksonville at home. That's Jacksonville's only winning season in 15 years. Only winning season in 15 years. Then they come here and beat the 13-3 Steelers.
So you'd rather be the Jaguars than the Steelers?
No, Ed, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying the way they're doing it. The way they're doing it isn't good enough.
Okay. Well, so you want them to go. Give up the store and go get Russell Wilson because he's going to put them in the Super Bowl just like he did with the Seahawks the last few years.
Well, there's never a guarantee, Ed, but I like the Broncos' chances a lot better. What did you want them to do? Sit there and watch, as I said, Mahomes and Justin Herbert just beat them to death for the next 10 years? They took a swing with Peyton Manning, and they hit a home run. Now they're taking another swing.
Maybe draft better. Maybe they could do that.
That would be good.
They drafted a quarterback in the first round. It was stunk, right? Who was their quarterback last year?
Drew Lock, Teddy Bridgewater, right?
There you go. There you go.
Okay, let's say.
Okay, so they rectified the problem.
So the Steelers draft the guy in the third round. Say they have a
We'll see if they
first round grade on him in Mason Rudolph. How comfortable are you with Mason Rudolph as the first round grade quarterback?
I'm comfortable as all good graces. I'm laying on the couch right now. That's how comfortable I am, Ron.
But Ed, you're on the record as saying you think the Steelers will be worse next season. So
Yes.
maybe that's a good thing, actually. Maybe.
Well, it means they probably won't make the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. So what? You have down seasons. You guys you put them up there. They should be in a Super Bowl every year.
No. I don't say that at all.
They put themselves up there every year.
They say that
they
Super Bowl
put themselves up there every year.
I would say
if you're buying that, you're nuts, because that's something they say. They're going to continue to say it. Kevin Colbert says it every year. Kevin Colbert says a lot of things every year. Like, we'd like to have Le'Veon Bell back to finish his career here. That worked out, too.
Ed, I don't think you're measured by simply Super Bowls. I think you're measured by winning playoff games, a playoff run. 11 years is a long time. They have 3 playoff wins in 11 years. The Houston Texans have more than them. What are we talking about? Get to an AFC title game. They got to 1 that whole time. The Texans have more playoff wins than the Pittsburgh Steelers in the last 11 years.
And Cincinnati won.
You're putting the Texans ahead of the Steelers because
I'm actually insulting the Texans by comparing them to the Steelers. Yes.
Actually, the Steelers are head and shoulders above the Texans, who are working on their third head coach in 3 years.
Last
now?
11 years, the Texans have more playoff wins than the Steelers.
They have at a quarterback. Talk about quarterbacks.
Yeah, they had a superstar quarterback who got in big trouble, same as the Steelers once did, right?
Not the same, Joe. Don't start
We'll see.
comparing.
We'll see how it turns out, Ed. We don't know yet. The legal process hasn't played out.
There's 22 women involved in this one.
Yeah, I'm not defending him. I'm saying, but what's your point with Deshaun
like
Watson?
You are.
No, I said the Steelers also had a guy that got in a lot of trouble that they stood by. We'll see about the Texans. I'm simply comparing the two franchises.
Ben was never charged with anything.
Well, that's really beside the point of comparing the two franchises.
The woman recanted.
Well, he also paid off one of them, right?
I don't know. Did he?
Yeah.
Do you have evidence for that?
I have a story right in front of me, Ed. Yes, that's a fact.
How much was it?
They said about the cost of a game check, which would have been, at his point, about $700,000.
Joe, a lot of those times, that was the one out in Tahoe, right?
Yes.
Yes, that was.
Yeah. She sued him, so it was a he said, she said, right?
Aren't they all, to some degree?
Maybe he just wanted that to go away. I don't think he was ever charged in that one either.
No, he wasn't. That's
okay.
Absolutely correct, but I think we're way off the point here of comparing two franchises, and my only point there would be, yeah, I'd probably rather be the Steelers than the Texans, but doesn't that underscore?
Think you'd rather be?
Doesn't that
You'd
underscore?
rather be?
The Texans at least have a pick here, right? Ed,
what kind of pick?
The Texans have won more playoff games than the Steelers in the last 11 years.
Okay, Joe.
They're a pathetic franchise. I would agree with that. I would agree.
Up. Who would you rather be a fan of, the Texans or the Steelers?
Not my point. Not my point. Right, the Texans are a joke of a franchise, right?
And you're trying to compare them to the Steelers.
How about this poll?
Yeah, and saying they've won more playoff games in 11 years than the Steelers.
How about this poll?
Close to the forest.
But the Steelers did win 4 in the 70s.
Ed,
right.
who would you rather?
Close to the forest.
Who would you rather be a fan of right now, the Bengals or the Steelers?
Well, right now in this era,
well, that's what we're talking about. This era. Speaking of winning 3 playoff games, the Bengals did as much last year as the Steelers in the last 11.
Everything has their ups and downs. Would you rather be a fan of the Patriots right now or from 4 years ago?
I think they have it. They made the playoffs, right? I think they have a chance
if
this quarterback has a chance to maybe be good.
Did they lose their first playoff game?
Yep, they lost to Buffalo.
Bums?
They did.
Those bums, they can't win anything.
Ed, you talk about being close to the forest. You're pretty close to it, too, and they seem to never do anything wrong in your mind.
That's not true.
Okay.
You guys
Okay.
just think they should win the Super Bowl every year.
No,
I
just
I
win
think
some
they should
playoff
win a
games.
playoff
Just
game
win some
every
playoff
now and
games.
Every year, huh?
No, some years. More than the Texans over
Every
11.
now and then, maybe.
More than the Texans over a decade.
So if you
I think
think
I
that-
think that's kind of
If you
reasonable.
think they're going to be bad this coming year, that'll be 6 years without a playoff win. When is it expecting too much?
I don't know, Ron. I mean, they won the division at 12-4 2 years ago, and now we're going to put the whole regular season doesn't count because they didn't win a game in the playoffs.
Well, I mean, who would you rather? Would you rather would you rather have won the
1970
division or the playoff game?
The 1977 Pittsburgh Steelers couldn't win a playoff game.
Yeah, but they won several
I
2 years
know, they
before and
won
2 years after.
Before, I know that. We all know that.
And we all know the reason they did win is because they were
Listen,
horrible in the
Joe.
early 70s and got a bunch of
Joe.
good players. Now, my only point, Ed, in the end, is that the Steelers are in the worst place you can be in pro sports, like I said, right in the middle of the pack with really no legit chance to win, going 9-8, 8-9, 10-7. Good season here, but really didn't have a chance to win it a couple of years ago. We all knew
12-4.
that. And that way you
12-4.
never get good picks.
12-4.
Yeah, we all knew that was a fluke, Ed, I think, as the season was going
now
on. They collapsed at
12-4
the
is a
end.
fluke.
Yeah, it was. I mean, they gave up 48 to the Browns at home.
I'm going to quote Bill Parcells, "You are what your record says you are," and they were 12-4.
12-5 after they gave up 48 to the Browns. Anyway,
That doesn't count. That's a postseason game.
it counts more than the whole regular season.
which they didn't win, and that makes 4 in a row in the playoffs.
I don't care. You're
Well,
talking
that
about
made 3 in
we're
a row. The one
playoffs.
last year made 4 in a row.
You guys are so passionate about this.
Ed, I have a brand new Alex Karras card, but we have to go right now. This was very passionate
And
today.
roll back
we appreciate it.
roll back over on the couch and get a little comfortable again. We didn't mean to upset you.
You didn't upset me. I got under your skin.
You've always
I-
been an agitator, Ed, just like Kenny Linsman. Thank you, Ed.
Is that Alex Karras card from the year he was suspended?
Might have been. I think he was betting on games that year, kind of like
He's a
Calvin,
slug.
kind of like kind of like Calvin Ridley. Thank you, Ed.
See you, fellas.
See ya.
Wow, did that get spicy, Ron? Huh?